Today we are going to plan our story using the story planner for the upper primary. We are learning to plan a suitable story plot using the story planner. Do you still remember the story mountain that we used to use in primary 3 and 4? It is the same as the story mountain, just that a story planner is more linear and we are inserting more details into it. So if you know how to use a story mountain to plan your story, you should have no problem using the story planner. And today I'm going to link the story mountain to the story planner to let you learn how to transit from the mountain to the planner. So if you remember, our story mountain consists of 5 parts: introduction, rising actions, climax, falling actions, ending, and resolution. We are going to use to plan a story using the story planner while linking to the story mountain today. So this is a demonstration to show you how it's being done. We're going to go back to this example. The topic is a challenge, and we have already done the UBP. So the first step is understanding the topic. We have already done so. Step 2, B, is we have already brainstormed for the most suitable conflict, and we have decided to use this part, a race, picture number 2. So we are going to do the planning now, P. Once you have chosen the conflict, it is time to plan your story. Are you ready to plan your story? Why do you want to plan the story? So that we have a rough idea on how the story is going to develop. A lot of times people will just immediately start writing. Then writing halfway, then you realize that, oh, I think that my story is too flat. I think that I should insert a obstacle earlier. And you want to backtrack, it's a bit too late. So you should start planning to have a skeleton of what you're going to write. Then when you transit on to actual writing, it will be especially the organization will be well planned. Okay? Now we have a story planner that looks like this. What is step number 1? So I'm going to walk you through the whole step to fill this story planner. Step number 1, a lot of you would think, no, we should start on introduction. Let's write introduction first. Wrong. We should identify the type of conflict and the main problem first, because this is the main body of your story. If your burger do not have the meat patty, we don't talk about putting the bun first. Okay, so let us identify what is the main ingredient, which is the main conflict for this story. And we will actually write in the conflict here, a very short idea on what the conflict is, and determine what type of conflicts that we want to talk about. Okay, so for example, this topic is a challenge, and just now we have brainstormed. We know that understanding a challenge is something new and difficult that requires great effort and determination. And we will determine what type of conflict that we want to insert. So earlier on, we actually mentioned we want to insert character versus another character, and the second part will be character versus self into this story. The conflict is the main character wanted to win in the 100-meter race, but there was a school bully who kept mocking at him, and even on the actual day, he tripped him. So this is the main conflict, character versus another character in the story. Okay, so we will actually fill this part first. Once we have this in, most likely you will not go out of point, which is the purpose of the poem. You must have the purpose correct. Okay, and this conflict should link back to the topic, a challenge. So we do have a main conflict. He wants to reach the goal. He has overcome that bully, number 1. Overcome something new. He is learning how to run a race. Overcome something difficult, which is he was in pain and yet he has to finish the race. So this is linking back to the topic. So let's take a look at introduction. I will talk about the story mountain first, then I'm going to link back to the story planner. So you're going to see very clearly how we transit from the mountain to the planner. So step number 1, the first part will be introduction. So we begin the story with introducing the characters and the setting. So for example, a challenge using the race. Max and Billy were in a classroom. This is the place during PE lesson. And the PE teacher asked Max if he would like to join the 100-meter race. So this is the introduction of the main event, the main conflict. And over here, you will use one of the good introduction. Please don't use one fine day for primary 5 and 6. Okay, not allowed. We have to use something that we have learned from primary 1 until primary 4. So these are some of the good introduction we have learned. For this, I'll use a simple one. I'll choose using a dialogue, okay, which I think most of you can handle by now. So we'll start using a dialogue to introduce the setting and the main character. So you know the main character is Max and Billy, right? So it's mentioned here. And the main setting in a school and taking part in a 100-meter race. So the dialogue will start with, Max, would you like to take part in the 100-meter race? And Billy, being the school bully, was very rude. He said, I think my grandmother can run faster than Max. The school bully whispered under his breath. So by just these two dialogues, it's very clear-cut. There's a race coming, and Max is being asked to join in a school setting. And Billy, who is very rude, the school bully, was going against Max at the beginning. So this is a very good introduction using a dialogue. Now we have planned using the story mountain. How do we transit into a story planner? Very simple, the first part. We will insert here what kind of strategy you want to use. Use a dialogue. And over here, you just write. Okay, over here, of course, I wrote in complete sentence. For you, you can just write in short, simple words or phrases which you understand. And you can transit and put into your story, the actual story much later. So on this side, you can write the idea. Over here, you can insert some good phrases or words. Okay? Okay, now we're going on to the most important part of the whole story, which is the main body, the meat patty, okay? We'll insert the main conflict and obstacle. So the main conflict is the overarching problem that we have. The obstacle are the mini events that block the main character from reaching its goal. So which part should we insert? Very simple. Over here. Event 1, 2, and 3. So for example, over here, the rising event is events leading up to the main problem. So we know that the main climax will be at sports day during the competition. So the goal is to be able to win in the 100-meter race. So what would the main character do in order to win the 100-meter race? He would have trained himself, right? So this would be the first part. The rising action, go for some training. And the climax, which is over here, event 2 or 3, is the most important and most exciting part of the story. So event 1, 2, and 3 are the rising action here, and the main bulk, the climax, the peak of the story. Okay, until here, try to digest first before we go on. So we're going to talk about rising action and climax. Rising actions are events leading up to the main conflict. So for example, the main character, Max, began to train very hard daily for the race. He wanted to prove the bully, Billy, wrong. So this one is the rising action. At the moment, there's still not, of course, earlier on there was some mocking and Billy was very rude to him, but the main conflict is not there yet. The main conflict will happen during the day of the race itself. This is where the main conflict happens. So for example, during the race, before the race, Billy mocked at Max. And during the race, Billy pushed Max and Max sprained his ankle. Maybe he was bleeding. Okay, so this is the part whereby the main conflict happens. Now we're going to insert some obstacles. Of course, Max still wanted to finish the race, but he was in pain and unable to get up. And his friends and family cheered for him. And this is the part where he overcame. So this is the obstacle that blocked him. Despite his pain or even the fear of the bully, he got up and continued with the race. This is the obstacle. So where do we insert into so we know the story mountain quite clearly where we should write. How do we transform this and into this? Okay, very simple. We'll insert the main conflict and obstacle for events 1, 2, and 3. So this is the rising action. This is the main conflict, event 2. event 2 and 3, somewhere here, we should have the obstacle, blocking him from reaching his goal. So it's very clear cut like this. Sometimes the obstacle could come in event 2 already. Okay, now we are going on to the last part, resolution and conclusion. So the resolution is at step 4 and 5, where we'll insert the resolution. Resolution means we resolve, how we solve the problem, the main problem. Conclusion means the ending of the whole story. This is where we will be planning. Let's take a look at the story mountain first. So, resolution is the following action, where the character worked to solve the problem. Going back to the story, Max pushed himself despite the pain, and he sprained, and then he overtook Billy during the race, and he won the race. This is how he resolved the problem. Of course, you could insert some internal struggle, meaning some inner thoughts about how he was suffering, and he was in so much pain, and he was hearing getting encouragement from his family and friends, and how he self-motivated and self-talk, and he got up. Okay, this is the part whereby how he overcame the conflict. So over here will be the events for the following action, how he solved that problem. So this is the conclusion, where the story will end, and everything comes to a close. Okay? For example, for the ending part, Max went to shake Billy's hand to encourage him, even though Billy is the bully and he lost the game. So Billy felt ashamed of his action and learned his lesson. So this could be the closure to the whole story. So how do we link the story mountain to the story planner? Very simple. So resolution is whereby how he resolved it, and the conclusion will be the last part. Of course, here you can add on some good words for show not tell, or some dialogue. Okay, so this is the story mountain that we have just introduced. And this is the story planner. So at the end of the whole lesson, the success criteria, please ask yourself, can you connect the story mountain to the story planner? Can you use the story planner to plan a suitable story plot for your story? If you could, congratulations, you have done well.